home. Another match point.
Incredible third set here.
They changed their strategy a little bit and they fought their way back in.
There it is. Game, set, and match.
Hello and welcome to the 2024-25 APTA Tour. We're live from the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois, bringing you the Chicago Charities Grand Prix with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsors, Volley and Corian. Tournament support has been provided by the following local sponsors: Wintrust, Illinois Bone and Joint. I tried to combine that one. Viking and CPTC. I'm Patty Hogan, along with the one and only Guy Moore, bringing you women's semifinal action between tournament number 1 seeded team of Lynn Burus and Macy Elliott up against the number 3 seeded team of Allison Morgan and Charlotte Sikora. Welcome, Guy.
How you doing, Patty? Beautiful day in Chicago here. The sun's going to be a factor. Going to be a great matchup. The women's tournament and draw so far has been just amazing. The level of play is quite incredible. But let me introduce our players here. On the top of the screen to the to the left, in the black and white hat, Allison Morgan from Chicago. Top right of the screen in the white jacket, black pants, Charlotte Sikora from Philly. To the bottom right of the screen, you have Lynn Burus in all black there, and then her partner, Macy Elliott, in the blue and black pants. Tell you what, Patty, watching Elliott and Burus play yesterday, called one of their matches. The first set they played was about as clean as it could be, and I know Sikora and Morgan had a long three-setter on the other side, so shaping up to be a fun one to call.
Who's the umpire for today's match?
That is Rob LeBoon.
What's the scoring for today's match?
Scoring for today's match is regular scoring, best 2 out of 3 sets. And this one easily could go that way. Could go 3.
Yeah, Guy, the Morgan Sikora match you referenced, 3-set win over Lopez and Page. It was a battle. Turning point, which is something I'll be curious when we see in this match, is what side of the courts Morgan and Sikora end up playing. They started off one way, and then they switched, and they won the second and third set with Charlotte Sikora having made the move from the deuce to the ad court. So I'll be curious about that. These women, 2 great teams, 2 of our best teams in the game. If you look at their matchups going back to last season, it heavily favors Burus, Elliott. But Morgan Sikora, to me, showed a lot yesterday, Guy. They dug down deep. They had to come back in that match, and Sikora had a calf injury. We stopped for 10 minutes of play, and then she seemed to have no impact on her. So that was a sigh of relief for their team. And so they're not worried about the past records, and, they're out here to win this match. And Burus and Elliott looking to avenge their, they were ousted in the semis of Baltimore last week. And so I think they're really going to work hard, and I'll be curious to see what adjustments they make as a team, as a partnership in this match.
Yeah, going back to you saying, the sides, what I've started to see a lot more is if they don't switch sides from a returning standpoint, they're switching during the point, and it just gives the net team such a different look, and that different look usually happens pretty quick after that switch. So it's becoming kind of nice and cool to see that it's not all about the transition moving up and back, that players and teams are willing to change sides during the point from a tactical perspective. And here we go, Elliott to serve.
And we see Charlotte Sikora getting ready to return. She's back in the deuce court for this match. We see Macy Elliott goes between a couple of serves. We know this push serve well, Guy. What are your thoughts on her serving?
Well, I talked to Elliott and Burus before the match, and we actually did talk about that. And I think she told me that she wanted to lean that way and go with that lower serve. She feels comfortable and confident in it. And even though it's not hard, she can place it well and gives her time to get in, too. So, and you can see Sikora doing what she likes to do, moving forward and putting pressure.
Yeah, the top three women's teams all apply tremendous baseline pressure, Guy, off of the partners' return to serves. They're all looking to make that move, like force the transition play. And, you know, right there, that's very typical at the highest level here in the women's game now.
And, Patty, you can see, or we can see that sun from that back corner to the right is just
brutal.
I think the word is just like devastating. I mean, it's blinding. And, you know, some teams play better in the sun than others. I mean, that sun is basically right in Lynn Burus and Macy Elliott's face. And, you know, if you can win those games playing on that sunny side, you even add more pressure to the team when they have to switch sides.
Oh, yeah, it's a big factor. You know, Guy, with Elliott's push serve, you know, she's very good with that serve of keeping that ball. You know, it's a low bouncing ball, and she generally serves it deep in the box. So she gets the result she needs. It doesn't look flashy at all, but it's really effective.
And yesterday she started out serving the overhead serve and then went to that serve on the deuce side, and then she was still serving the overhead serve on the ad side, and then she went exclusive to that serve. I just think she feels comfortable with it, and you're right, she can place it. And from a returning standpoint, you have no pace to use. So, and I also told, when I was talking with Elliott and Burus this morning, that, you know, it's a nice combination because Lynn Burus does hit that overhead serve, and, I mean, she was hitting it well yesterday with a ton of spin. So, two very different looks. And I think Morgan and Sikora need a couple really long points. The errors they're making are not typical at all. In fact, they're opposite of what they usually do.
Right, and that wasn't a great move to the ball by Sikora there. She looked like she got a late start to try to play that shot. And that's where I'll be curious to see how the calf reacts this morning. You can see that sidearm serve of Allison Morgan, you know, it's hit with even less pace. And, you know, then the Macy Elliott push serve. So you can see two different styles already. And then Morgan just went to the overhand serve. Early break, Burus Elliott up 2-love.
Yeah, and a couple quick games, and Burus and Elliott, I mean, they haven't really gotten into the point here too much in these two games, but they do like to play fast. And what you'll see as well is Burus is the one who tends to move up and do a lot of the blitzing, and Elliott is the one who sets her up. But the thing about this team, Patty, is they see the court the same way. They played so well and long together that they both know where the ball's going without, I don't want to say without communicating, but that's why Burus is able to move forward so well, because she knows where Elliott's going to hit the ball to set her up.
Yeah, that's a great point, Guy. And, you know, these top teams, you know, they just know what their partner's going to do on about 95% of the shots. A lot of club-level player, it's hard to get a good read on a shot sometimes because their shots may be more random, where everything's got a purpose out here. They've got targeted spots that they're working on, and, you know, they just are in sync. It's so fun to watch a team totally in sync, you know, at that net, just kind of doing the dance, controlling the point.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the shots that you'll see Elliott hit, I would be surprised if she doesn't hit it early on here when she has the opportunity, because it's, you know, the temperature suits it this morning. Is she hit it a couple times yesterday, just a huge huge roller to the deuce side, that ran all the way up almost to the net. I mean, just tons of pace. And what that does is it keeps that player on their heels looking for it. But she hit it well yesterday. That's the serve I was talking about, Patty, from Burus. I mean, that's just got a lot of spin and action, and it's so deep. There it is again.
Wow.
And that's why I was saying what I said a couple minutes ago. It's just a very different combination of serves. I mean, they're almost opposite, right?
Yes. And how difficult does that make it for the return team? 'Cause,
When's the last
you get
time?
in a rhythm
Right.
when you have an opponent who two of their serves are more similar than dissimilar. Here, it's a totally different look that they're getting. It will take some adjusting.
Well, when's the last time you've seen almost, we won't call them aces, but unreturnable serves in a row like that, from love 30 to 40-30?
I've seen it from Burus in the women's game a
Yeah.
decent amount. When she hits that serve, it's really a thing of beauty. So, Guy, Burus and Elliott, they got past in their first match. They took out one of Chicago's finest, Sally Cottingham, and her partner, Procious. They took out the longest running team in women's paddle, Prendergast and Zink.
Right.
They took them out in the 16s, had a great second set, 6-4. We won't talk about the score in the first set. Burus and Elliott then took out Banks and O'Sullivan last night in the quarters. Morgan and Sikora got past Lopez and Page yesterday. Really a good match against, a highly dynamic young team on the tour. Hallballer and Jackson, they're on the other side in the semifinals and up against Hanish and Zabori, who got past Alexander and Cruz last night in their semifinal play.
And I have to say, Patty, calling the matches all day yesterday and catching glimpses of the other court, the level of play has dramatically increased in the past 2 or 3 years. It's the power, the movement, the volleys, the spins. It's just.
Yeah, it's so fun to see, Guy. And I love that you said that before we went on the air. You just have such an appreciation for the level of play, and it's just, we've always known about the depth in the men's game, and it is a deeper field in men's play. But in women's play, a big difference. You do see it now going pretty deep down in those, round of 16 on. A lot of talent out there.
Yes, for sure. I think Hallbauer and Jackson, their first 3 matches yesterday, they only lost 1 game. And the first set they played yesterday in their late afternoon quarter, they rolled through that set, and then things got really tight. But, I mean, to be that good for first 3 rounds and lose 1 game, that's something else.
Well, Hallballer, as we know, is a finalist in last year's national championship, pairing up with Gabby Nicolescu. She's back playing with her longtime friend Jill Jackson, and they're having some really solid results. I know you said that you believe as a team they just keep getting better and better every time they play together. You can see just the experience that Hallballer, gained last year playing the 4 Grand Prix and Nationals with Nicolescu, and they're going to definitely be a force, definitely a top 5 team in the country.
That's smart of Burus to take a little pace off that when she was transitioning in, so it didn't come off the back screen. But Morgan did a great job of blocking that.
I mean, it's early, Guy, but I kind of have a feeling that Morgan and Sikora really need to hold serve here in this game. I just don't think you can have a lot of separation with how good as front runners Burus and Elliott are.
Yeah, for two reasons. One, they have the sun at their back, so these are must-win games. And obviously they're down love 3, but, you know, they just haven't, I mean, this is really one of the longest points they've had. I've just felt like they haven't really warmed up yet, but they'll get there.
Yep.
And Sikora doesn't look like she's showing any favoritism at all from that little injury she had yesterday.
No, she's got the bounce in her step here. So, Guy, you look up. If you're Morgan Sikora and you're thinking, okay, what's our strategy here? Who do we attack on the baseline? Lynn Burus or Macy Elliott? There's no good answer. But obviously, both of these players are great national champs, two-time defending national champs, and Elliott has a third national title that she won with Marcela Redesno. So there's no real, like, safe spots. So the key for Morgan Sikora, they've got to get back in this. It's really going to be the depth of their volleys, well-placed overheads, because, you know, the explosive nature that particularly Lynn Burus has out of that ad court when she gets on a roll. Watch out, and Macy can just pick you apart over there, whether she's playing the deuce court or the ad court.
Yeah, I would say that teams, a couple things, teams that want to compete and take Elliott and Burus out of their element, they can't allow them to do what they do best. They can't allow Macy to dictate from the baseline and Lynn Burus to move forward. And, you know, that's what they did so well yesterday. They can't lob short and let Burus and Elliott hit those hard rollers. They just can't do that. And then, Patty, I mean, it's the obvious, but they got to do the basics well. They got to serve well. They got to return well. That's it.
Fundamentals.
And that's what Morgan really does well, is hit that drive, medium pace to the right spot when someone's hanging off the net, not at all looking to do anything other than make them volley where her next lob becomes better. And she targets it just like that, hits it to a tricky spot.
Sikora's rocking the returns out of that deuce court here today. Forced 2 volley errors in this game alone.
Yeah, she gets on top of that ball so fast, doesn't she?
Yeah, beautiful stroke. That two-handed backhand she hits.
Corient is the official wealth sponsor of the APTA 2024-25 season. Corient is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at Corient.com.
Guy, this is a treat to watch these 4 talented pros. Burus is the pro of Plainfield Country Club in New Jersey. Macy Elliott, teaching pro up in Connecticut, Rolling Hills Country Club. Allison Morgan teaches right out there at the Birchwood Club. She's co-director with her husband Adam. And Charlotte Sikora, owner-operator of Rackets Odyssey. She does travel paddle camps, pickle camps, tennis camp, you name it. She'll set up an amazing camp for you. And I mean, these are some of the the top women in our game. And I like that Morgan Sikora just fundamentals. They're back in this match 3-2. No big changes, just a little bit bouncing their step and just some consistency. And right there, really good driving game for them, where they forced 3 volley errors out of Burus and Elliott. That's great pressure early on in this match on them.
Yeah, they played more their style there the last 2 games, but again, going back to what we talked about, team with the sun at their back really needs to take advantage of not having to deal with it. It is a huge factor. And there's that hard ball I was talking about from Elliott, that roller. That's...
Yep, you called it, Guy. You said that before we came on the air, and it's Elliott can do it. Burus can do it. Who does it more, Guy, when they play? Who did it more yesterday?
Elliott, that roller to the deuce side.
Okay, that was her shot.
Yeah. But you know, they're kind of two different rollers in the degree that Elliott plays hers a little higher and goes for more power, just like you saw there with, you know, her going at the deuce side with Sikora, and then Burus lets it drop a little bit more and hits it deeper in the court. So it's a tough ball to decide, should I let it go or not? And Patty, this is what Elliott and Burus do well. You saw Elliott on the baseline 4 or 5 balls ago, and Burus moving forward. That's what they do very well.
They do everything really well, I think.
Yeah, I did say to them, I said, you know, and you see this with few teams in the last 10, 12 years, both on the men and ladies side, but, you know, sometimes when you're playing at the highest level, like a Burus and Elliott, and you're on fire, the only team that can beat you is actually you, you know, just not by playing as well, so.
So that was the second break of Allison Morgan in this first set. Burus Elliott, 4-2 lead, Chicago Charities. Semifinal action.
Let's see how Burus' serve is. I bet she'll go out wide here. Morgan's backhand, you can see how far over she's standing to create some angle. And that happens from time to time when she's serving that big. But it doesn't phase her, really.
No, not a lot phases Lynn Burus. She's just out there and she does her thing.
I'll tell you what, she made that volley look very easy, and it was not. A half volley away from Sikora blitzing in.
And this is where, like, I just think Morgan and Sikora need a better shot, you know, to make an error on Guy. Like, they have to, if they go for it in the right time, then I never question the choice. But they've got to, you know, they're a little bit behind in this match here in the early going. And I think what we saw in the match yesterday is the longer the match went on, it favored Morgan and Sikora in their quarterfinal match against Lopez and Page. Quicker points, you know, favored the other team. And I think quicker points are favoring Elliott and Burus here. And that's why I think they're the ones who are going to have to dictate the pace of play here a little bit, but have a willingness really to just lengthen the points.
Yeah, I agree. Elliott and Burus like to play fast because that's their style and speed, and they roll quick. And teams that slow it down against them and make them think a little bit more have some success. And so this is quite a change of, you know, in these fast points, and not points, but changes in the score, you know, a quick 2 or 3 points changes the momentum a little bit as well.
And you could just feel the shifts in momentum. That's the amazing thing about when you watch paddle. You know, you're thinking a team just is so struggling, all of a sudden they get 1 point and it just seems to free up their games.
And there's that hard roller again.
That's why Morgan Sikora have to lob well in this match.
Have
Any
to.
short ball.
And I say also, Patty, if they feel like they can't get the lob up, well, then don't lob. Because the volley is not going to hurt you. is nearly as bad as that hard roller.
Yep, that's a great point. So just hitting off-speed balls, just kind of pull them in a little bit. Like that kind of shot is effective, for sure. Guy, we've got lots of stops on the APTA Tour, and I think about these two teams. Between these two teams combined, true or false, they won 10 APTA Tour events last year, Guy.
True.
I can't ever get you to miss, Guy, can I?
That's a pretty good tee up, though. Thanks, Patty.
You got it. Each of these teams won 5 tour events, with Burus Elliott winning the gem of them all, the national championship.
And I think now you're starting to see both teams really get into it with the longer points and not as many mistakes. And be a big game for Sikora Morgan to win. Break Lynn Burus serve, and on this sunny side of the court,
Yeah, it would be an actual game, obviously, but a mental victory.
sure.
Yeah, looked like she totally lost that ball.
And that's where the sun is directly. It's to her right. So if she peeks at that, she's not going to see anything for a second.
Another big serve. Sikora took it off that back screen, just crushed it right through. The transition game begins.
Notice there, Burus and Elliott just stayed back because Burus hit that ball so firmly, and no need to get into bad transition.
So, Guy, what you're saying, typically when a ball goes through, it's an opportunity for the team who hit the ball through to take over the net, but they just stayed back and just let Morgan Sikora retake the net, in a sense.
Exactly. And it was a good decision because the ball was hit so hard that it was going to be an offensive screen. And for Elliott and Burus to be transitioning in and kind of be out of position, they didn't allow that to happen.
Wow, did Burus make that shot?
Yes.
What a little, and then you talk about a hands play again. I mean, she looks dead in the water at a moment, and then the next moment she's just hit a winner off that shot that most people could never come close to executing. Again, big serve, a lot of pace, a lot of depth.
Yeah, it's hard to create any real offense with that serve. You got to ask yourself, am I willing to go for something more offensive and make some mistakes, or do I just have to put it back in play?
What a sweet little shot right there from Sikora. Took a ball that was really low. That was a really difficult shot to hit that ball and, force the volley. Or awesome swing.
And Sikora's a perfect example of what you would want to teach if someone's going to be aggressive in moving and transitioning in like she does. She is clearly looking to hit backhand volleys. And she's clearly looking to hit balls that are hit at her. She's never fooled with what she's looking for. You don't see her flagging balls or hitting balls that are going out. She's willing to let it go through if she's transitioning in and let Morgan play it.
What happened, Guy?
They called a serve out, or they thought the serve was out, but it was in. So it was, again, from Burus, it was a deep serve to the corner. It looked good to me.
I mean, what an amazing service motion she has. And it paid off right there. Up 5-2, first set. Semifinals, Chicago Charities. The other semifinal, Hanish Zabori had a 3-0 lead the last time I looked against Hallballer Jackson.
Yeah, it looks like they did win the first set 6-love, Hanish Sabori.
They won it 6-0. Wow.
Well, and I'll tell you something, Patty, just from Hallbauer and Jackson, you know, this is just a whole different look than what they saw yesterday with Zabori and the way she puts pressure on teams with her offense and slashes and spins and movement. Just a very different look from what they saw yesterday.
I love that camera shot showing that bright sun so that realistically everyone at home can see what these players are up against.
It's actually it's pretty incredible that they're even at the net. And both teams seem unfazed by it at the net. I'm sure it's a factor, but look at it right there.
Yeah, and neither Burus or Elliott wear a visor or a hat, which I always find tremendously helpful when you have the brutal sun. At least it just gives your eyes a break on the higher balls.
For sure. All right, 15 all, Patty. I just feel like Morgan and Sikora just haven't quite got into the match yet. Just some uncharacteristic mistakes. They clean that up, and it's a different score.
Great play by Morgan to defend that. Roller overhead in that deuce corner.
For sure. And I mean, she was defending, and all of a sudden, one ball later, she's moving forward in more of an offensive mindset. I will tell you, too, Patty, when Elliott and Burus really get rolling, too, they just make very few volley mistakes. Just don't give anything away. 30 all.
And what makes them so tough, you kind of saw it in that point. Elliott didn't make the last shot, but when they start applying that pressure, guy, and they get that first short ball from the net team, and one of them starts the drive, they'll get consecutive drives, and they typically will make a huge amount of those, and that's how they kind of break down teams. It's not a one-hit drive, but it's those consecutive drives that just they apply so much pressure constantly on the net team.
And it's interesting, too, when they start that series of drives, they're not hitting consecutive balls to the same spot. They will pick their targets and mix it up. And that's the key, too, is they always have a target. They're not trying to do anything in terms of winning the point by hitting a ball through somebody. They're just targeting.
You know, the level of play that Burus and Elliott started this set was extraordinarily high, and they've maintained it. You know, they had one game where they had a couple volley errors, but they've been right on it. And, you know, Morgan Sikora just off to a little bit of a slower start in this match.
And I tell you what, this game's important for a couple reasons. One, obviously, to win the set for Elliott and Burus, but if Sikora and Morgan could win this game, and even if they lose the set, just steal a little bit of the momentum going into the second set, it would be important.
Yep, I totally agree.
And that's what I was saying.
So, Guy, we'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by CSM Media.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the Chicago Charities event, the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois, with semifinal women's action between our tournament numbers 1 seed, Burus and Elliott, up against number 3 seeded team of Sikora and Morgan. And we just saw Burus and Elliott play really high level first set there, 6-2. I'm Patty Hogan with Guy Moore. Guy, what do you think?
I'll tell you what, Elliott and Burus kind of continued the way they were playing yesterday. We said it.
Hey, Guy, we should do a picture like that
my
together.
gosh.
You didn't really smile in your picture. These guys look really happy.
I didn't smile because you weren't there. If you were there.
Oh, we'll do the picture together next time.
We're definitely, hey, we could have these guys in this booth here pull that off, get that done for us before our next match.
Oh, we've got those moves.
For sure. Anyways, Elliott and Burus, we just mentioned it a moment ago, when they volley well and do what they do well, they're a very tough team to beat. I mean, the real results are there. I mean, 2-time national champion 2 years in a row. I mean, their style of play, works. Elliott and I were talking. She goes, "What do you think?" I'm like, keep doing what you do well. Be willing to adjust when you have to, but do what you do well, and you will be successful.
Guy, do you have an advice column for people? Maybe we should start that this year.
You know what? That would be fun. I don't know if it'd be fantastic advice, but it'd be fun.
Well, we all consider the source of our advice.
Exactly. I mean, might be a couple curveballs in there.
They would be expected and appreciated.
I think everyone likes a good curveball. So, Patty, adjustments from Sikora and Morgan. What do you think?
This is a curious one. I think they have to say a short prayer that the level of Burus and Elliott maybe could come down a little bit. Because, like I said, they had one game that was a little bit, error-filled, but besides that, rock solid. And their serving games, and like Lynn Burus has served big in this match. I think Allison Morgan got broken twice in that set. She's going to have to hold serve. I mean, getting broken is not critical, but I think Morgan Sikora need to put a little bit more of a stamp on this match with their net play.
Yeah, I agree. And, in thinking about it, too, watching Elliott and Burus, you say to yourself, well, you want to slow them down? Or do you want to take the other tact and actually speed it up? And when you speed it up, put pressure on them where they can think less tactically and have to think more defensively. So it's an interesting conversation to have. But I will say this, above all, and what just happened was what I was going to mention. There can't be any freebies against Elliott and Burus because they will take advantage of it.
Right. My concern for Morgan Sikora, I would vote, I think, slow down, because I feel like when they speed up their shots, you just saw it from there, the athleticism that both Burus and Elliott have, as defending a very difficult ball, coming forward toward the net. I mean, they've got that move, and that's where I almost think maybe dumping some balls, just trying to go for depth, a little bit of off speed, give them no pace, and see, make them play flat-footed paddle versus trying to get them on the run. I just feel like they're so good when they move.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a tale of whether you're the net team. So when they're at the net, I agree, let's slow it down. But when Morgan and Sikora on the baseline, we all know how much Sikora likes to put pressure on by moving forward. So there, it's almost, hey, speed it up so she can do what she does so well. Because when she's moving forward, and Burus just moves so well covering that, she just does not get fooled. When Sikora's moving forward, I mean, she's completely in her element. I tell you what, Patty, I don't even know how many hard rollers that were hit at Lynn Burus yesterday in that deuce side. I don't think she missed one, just like that. Moves
Well, that's what I'm saying.
well.
I don't think she gives you a lot on those, and that's where maybe I think what I'd like to see is Sikora and Morgan switch, get Allison Morgan, in the opposite position as where Sikora is right now, and see if she can't just kind of push some off-speed balls and some low slices, just keep the ball down, take the pace off the ball. I don't know, I just feel like the juiced balls from Sikora almost work against them right now.
For sure.
Another one of the Burus pickups where she's dead in the water, just sticks her paddle down. Real short little blocking type of shot. No big swing. Handles it beautifully.
Even though Elliott missed that, I do like that drive a lot. She was
I think,
balanced.
and right there, she didn't have to go that big on that drive. I
No.
like that she drove it. A little less pace, I think, would serve her well in that situation. She wasn't really trying to go through someone with a drive.
Great pickup by Elliott. And Patty,
Guys, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it's, when those overheads are being hit harder at Burus, how far over Elliott is to help her if need be.
Oh, yeah, she's ready for that ball that might hit the nick, fly over to her side of the court. Always ready as the trailer there. Guy in the other semifinal looks like Hanish and Zabori are just cruising, having not lost a game yet in the 10 games they've played. Hanish Zabori looked so solid yesterday in their quarterfinal win, so that result's not surprising at all, just given the high level of play that they have right now.
Yeah, and going back to, the different matchups, right? I mean, that's just Hellbauer and Jackson need to see that style of play more to get used to it. You got to see it. If you haven't seen it before, haven't seen it enough, it takes you a while to get your feet under you. All right, big turnaround in this game, Patty.
Yep. Good opportunity for Morgan Sikora. You can see Sikora's lined up, just getting ready to crush another two-handed backhand if she gets the ball in the spot she wants. And Guy, like right there, you know, we saw Elliott miss a drive, you know, 2 points ago, and then she just did that. Like, what I mean is like she kind of overjuiced those shots where she's not trying to break down a person who's in the perfect position at the net. You know, the team's, you know, the opening was there for her a little bit with Morgan Sikora, not a lot, but that's where just like picking a target and hitting a spot at whatever speed is necessary, and not a lot more than that speed, if that makes sense.
It
Did I
does.
explain that correctly, Guy?
You did. I mean, I agree with both of those drives. You know, those are just technical mistakes, not putting enough spin on the ball, but tactically the correct shot. And when Elliott and Burus are playing at their best, which they played a really clean first set there, those are the mistakes you don't see them making. I've seen them play many matches where they win the first set 6-love, and I don't want to call it relaxed, but they give teams a lot more in the second set after they've really been very successful. And wow, around the post. Wow.
ATP, Guy.
There it is.
I mean, that just shows you how good Burus, perfect anticipation, had her paddle set really early. I love that early prep. Just allowed her to pull off that incredible shot.
You know, Patty, and going back to our conversation about Elliott and a couple of those drives that she missed, you know, that's their style of play. That's where their success comes from. So, you know, there is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster sometimes where you do make mistakes playing that style. So it kind of goes with it. See if a big roller comes out here. We haven't seen it in a while.
Guy, was this the side that Allison Morgan served from in the first set? Because they've stayed in their same rotation, same side.
Yes.
Because I'm kind of surprised Sikora didn't serve first here. Morgan was broken twice in that first set. But when the sun's such a great factor and you kind of get used to dealing with it on certain sides, that's why you might not see a team switch or the order.
There's that hard roller. I do think it sets the standard. I really do. They've had a lot of success with it in the first set, and it's also there.
We were saying yesterday, Guy, you need that shot. You need a dominant shot out here that can break the other team down, that can open up the court for yourselves. And, you know, that hard roller, both Elliott and Burus have it. That's, you know, that's why they're two-time defending national champ. For that reason and a lot of other reasons.
And Elliott and Burus communicate so well at the net. Look how far Elliott's moving to the right just to get out of Burus's line of sight.
Yeah, right here, that's a good shot of that.
Yep. And
Right,
notice,
and by that player moving over, Guy, it just gives the person who's about to hit the overhead just a much clearer, earlier look at the ball.
and you notice too that they have their bailout spot when that lob's hit very well down the line. Burus usually will go back straight ahead, and even if Morgan drives it, they first of all don't want to hit the ball over to Sikora's backhand in the middle. But even if Morgan drives it, the team and the weight of the team is in front of the ball. And I would say that every net scheme should include a bailout spot so the person at the net knows where they're going to have to defend from. Big serve here, Patty.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just like that. You see Elliott moving again there. It's a good quick ball.
So I mentioned Lynn Burus is the pro. She started this year over at Plainfield Country Club. And you know the club well, Guy. You had a great 20-year run with that terrific membership. So many people who are such great people over at Plainfield Country Club, totally supportive to you, and I'm sure they just are so happy to have Lynn over there.
Yeah, Lynn's a special person, and a club like that deserves someone like her, and vice versa.
Following on the heels of Martin Bostrom, who did a great job there, and he moved over to Mars County last year. So, Guy, I like Sikora returning in that ad court.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I do. It eliminates that. I mean, she has a little more wingspan than Morgan because of her height, so she can cut that ball off before it goes to the screen. And she likes her backhand, and it just neutralizes that serve.
Get in. You block. Me. It's up.
Guy, when do you recommend to teams after the first set to make a move on the baseline? Why do you think some teams should do that?
Well, a couple reasons. One, based on how well they're returning the ball, which we just touched on. Sikora maybe will have a little bit more luck with Lynn Burris' serve being on that side because of her backhand. But Patty, I really am a big fan of switching sides just to give teams different looks in terms of their net scheme, because when you switch sides, they have to decide, hey, where am I hitting the ball again? So not only switching sides from a return standpoint, if you still like the side that you're returning on and don't feel like that's a factor, well, then during the point, it's a great idea to switch sides just to create a little bit more havoc from the baseline. Take the comfort zone away. I do
These
see.
players are accumulating points for the season-long APTA Cup. Allison Morgan is on top of the women's field right now. She's earned 980 points. Sikora is a little bit behind, 680. Hanish and Zabori are next up. Graham McNerney, Jose Salazar leading the way over on the men's side on the APTA Tour. So that's Charlotte Sikora serving, and that was Macy Elliott hitting the return. Charlotte Sikora's in the long sleeve blue top. Allison Morgan in the pink top. See, we've not seen the move that I thought I would see with Morgan taking more of the overheads, getting herself in the other side position-wise from Sikora, only to kind of hit her kind of overheads where she can let the ball drop really low. She's a little shorter than Sikora, just to throw a little different look, a little less pace at Burus and Elliott, who are not fazed by pace.
And this is kind of the way they've started this set. They sometimes start the second set after they played such a good first set a little slow, and they just make some uncharacteristic errors.
You're talking about Burus Elliott?
Yes.
It's interesting, Guy, that you say that, because that's come into it. Initially, when they formed as a team, I didn't think they did that. They were so good at just closing. They had the lead. They just kept their foot in the gas and closed out matches. But that's, all the credit to the opposition. There's much more of a threat. And, you look at a team like Morgan Sikora, they are so much of a better team than they were 2 years ago.
Absolutely. Well, they understand each other as partners, and you know, you see it quite a bit at the club level, the highest level. You know, you play a really flawless first set, and then all of a sudden you're in a huge battle in the second set for a couple reasons. One, sometimes it's easy to relax, and two, the team's making adjustments. But I think it's important as a team to also talk about the adjustments you feel like your opponents are going to make, so when they make them, that you already are looking for them.
That's a good point. Guy, is the other semifinal complete?
It is complete. Anish Sabori played about as good as they could.
A flawless match.
Morgan, Sikora. They lead 3-1, second set.
Well, Sikora and Morgan are taking advantage of some couple mistakes from the Burus and Elliott, but what do you think they've changed tactics other than cleaning it up a little bit, Patty?
I would be making it up if I said yes, but I kind of feel like they're given. I feel like Burus is really playing a rock solid match, giving nothing. Elliott's the one who's doing a little gifting out here from time to time. Where get Elliott, back her up, get her hitting more balls, give her more opportunities. But I don't see any other huge adjustment at all from Morgan Sikora. They're just making more shots.
Yeah, in combination with the mistakes from the other side. And
Yep.
because we didn't see those mistakes in the first set, except there was a little lull in the first set where Burus and Elliott did have a couple errors that were not forced for sure. See if Burus and Elliott stay on these sides or switch. And going back to the conversation about sides, when you hit this little lull or whatnot in a set like this, it's the first one I've seen her miss. That's Sun right there.
Well, this is the thing, Guy. Morgan Sikora, I don't know what percentage of their matches from quarter semis finals that they play and go 3 sets, but it seems like they are able to find ways where when they get down, they claw back, and that's a great thing about that team. I mean, when nothing's going right, and it wasn't like the first set was a disaster. It just, there were a couple situations that didn't go their way, and all of a sudden they find themselves up 3-1 in the second set.
You're right, Patty. They don't ever go away. It's just the mentality. And teams know that, too. So that in itself adds pressure. You can see how Sikora just moves in there so smooth with her hands in that backhand volley position. It's almost like the tip of her paddle, Patty, is just hanging out at 10 o'clock, so she's just ready to hit that volley, especially when it's right at her.
Well, that early preparation You see that with all the top players in the game, and it just helps them execute at such a high level. Everything is repeatable on demand because they have the proper setup for all the shots. And, everybody can work on that. And that's where it's great to have the volley machine in our sport because you can go out and practice. You don't need 3 other people to have a get match. Check out the volley machine and, work your consistency. Get yourself more consistent just by having the opportunity to hit so many balls consecutively.
I do think this move. Ooh, that ball, she saved her. Switching sides of the court so they can return on Morgan on the deuce side and Sikora on the ad it's a big difference. Their returns are much more effective.
Really good lob from Morgan, causing both, Burus and Sikora to kind of think it was going to be their ball. And that's what you get when you're out of that hitting shots, lobbing from that deuce court. You can cause a lot more confusion on your lobbing than the player out of the ad court against 2 righties.
Yeah, and the reason for that is just because that volley player has, right, like you said, 2 righties, has so much more of the court to cover with the overheads to their right.
Great way to run down that shot. Great rip there.
Notice, well, they're switching there. Notice Sikora and Morgan when they're playing Elliott's side of the court, they'll stand almost next to each other. There's really no stagger. And that's because of the overheads. More of a stagger when they're playing the ad side here.
Yeah, you can just feel Morgan Sikora's level going up, Guy, as this match is going on. It seemed like once that first set was over, they played much, much better.
Yeah, they had a slow start, for sure. I've figured it out now. And this is their style of play, Patty. They could play slow for a while and then all of a sudden just light it up.
Right there. Burus just unloaded on one of those shots. Sikora saw it coming, took off immediately, kept her paddle out in front of her, ready to go, and defended it beautifully.
Yeah, she 100% committed to the side wire, just like that. Wow, what a volley.
Wow. Phenomenal point you saw. That was a crowd pleaser. The Chicago land fans definitely pulling for local Allison Morgan and Charlotte Sikora.
And that's the benefit.
And that's what we that guy.
Well, that's the benefit of Sikora playing that side, because if you don't get the ball to the screen on her backhand side, that's what you have to deal with.
Good move by Burus Elliott just to kind of calm down. That was a really good long point. Didn't go their way. Just making sure they're on the same page here at this critical moment in the second set.
Did Burus and Elliott stay or switch? Well, there you go. That answers that. Yeah, what happens, Patty, is if that ball doesn't go to the sidewalk when you're playing Sikora, the volley player, now Macy in this situation, has to hang on their line. So you saw her know that Burus was in trouble, lunging at the last second to try to help. But the reason she had to lunge at the last second is because she had to cover her line first. Like that. Ball's got to go to the wire. Otherwise, just don't go there.
You know, Guy, I was thinking Morgan Sikora as the net team had to slow it down. They're not at all. And actually, they're jumping on some stuff here. And, you know, their athleticism and shot making is like I said, their level of play is so much higher here in the second set.
Well, that's kind of why, you know, that was fun dialogue with us a little bit earlier, because you know, it goes back to this, you know, you could try a couple, you don't have to buy into any one thought process. You know, you could try and say, hey, what's working in this particular matchup? I mean, because by them playing a little faster, and they're actually kind of doing a combination of both, but by them playing a little faster, it stops what Elliott and Burus do well. Like, how much have you seen Burus actually blitz in this set? Non-existent, right? Where in the first set, she was all over the place. Wow.
Awesome move.
Wow.
Great cover, worth a jump. That was a Phil Mickelson-like jump right there.
I tell you what, Morgan made that look easy. That ball is not easy to play when it's moving basically parallel to the back wire, which is the least likely of the ball hitting the nick.
Do you remember when Phil Mickelson won the Masters? And he jumped, Guy? I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, it wasn't that high, was it?
No, not a lot of separation from the ground to the bottom of
Yeah.
his feet or Allison's.
Yeah, no need to measure that vertical.
But, Morgan Sikora right here at this, you know, in the last couple of games. Big turnaround.
Morgan Sikora. They lead.
Patty, let me tell you about Corient. Corient is excited to partner with the APTA because, whether as advisors to our members or as members themselves, they are already part of the APTA community. Learn more at www.corient.com, the official wealth sponsor of the APTA. So, Patty.
So, Guy.
So, Patty, adjustments from now, Elliott and Burus.
Okay, so, Guy.
Yeah.
Now, are they the ones that are going to have to change the tempo of this match? And can they change it from the net? Or can they change it from the baseline easier? What do you think?
Well, both.
That was a lot of questions.
That's all right. I like them. If they're going to keep serving to Sikora's backhand, they might as well stay back, because one of them is staying back, but the other one's at the net. There's no need for any of that transition. They just need to guarantee getting into the point where it's not a bad mess. From the baseline, it's the oldest conversation there is, but they've just got to lob a little bit better and confuse the job descriptions with Morgan and Sikora, because Sikora and Morgan look very comfortable at the net right now.
And Sikora is just kind of, her game is just flowing. You could just see that effortless move in, handled a lovely little low backhand volley, just kept gliding through, back to the baseline. They look like they're firing on all cylinders right now.
And then the other thought process, Patty, with Sikora and Morgan at the net is hey, let's actually speed it up and change the lob to drive ratio, because if our lobs aren't creating the looks that we want, maybe we drive it a little bit more and take their rhythm away, because Morgan and Sikora have a pretty darn good net scheme right now.
Well, Guy, I hope you have a big cup of coffee, because I have a feeling we're in for 3 sets here.
It's headed that way. But with
Beautiful
Bert,
shot, the Glenview Club. We got Mo Morrison's Midnight Paddle Truck over there on site. Great apparel for paddling for a casual lifestyle. Be like Mo. Go to his truck.
never know what's going on around that truck. And Patty, I was just going to say that this is where I've seen Burus and Elliott, after a little lull in the second set after running away with the first set, that they do counter adjust and turn things around.
I think they're going to do everything in their power right now to try, Guy. Don't you? I mean, they want to win this match in 2 sets. I think that's their mindset right now. Do you agree?
I do. I would bet you a lot of money that that would be their mindset every match, just like yours and mine. Sun's becoming a little bit less of a factor. It's higher now, but that corner where Burus is still.
So is Burus looking into it when she faces that side screen, Guy? She's looking at it, or
She is, but it's high enough where she's not looking directly at it.
really good volleying, we said, from Morgan Sikora here, and they've just handled beautifully everything that's come their way from Burus, Elliott, in the shot in the set. And I love their early prep. I talk about it pretty often because it's so critical. They know the ball's coming to them. They set their paddle. They're looking for a ball in one spot. If they don't get it in that spot, you'll never see them kind of playing reaching volleys. They'll just let the ball go through, take it off the back screen.
Interesting too here. I like that last pattern that Elliott and Burus created with the lobs, and then great ball.
Little miscommunication there from Allison and Charlotte. Not sure who was going to cover that. Great rip on the return of serve.
Yeah, it was in a really good spot.
Yeah, and we're at 4-2 in the second set.
Yeah, I'm interested to see from Burus and Elliott if they, from that ad side especially, if they don't start lobbing down the line a little bit more to Morgan to create some of those looks. Just like we saw.
They have a new ball guy?
New ball.
You saw Burus take a big swing. I expect her to go big, as she's been doing throughout this match with her serve. At the Glenview Club, beautiful club. They've got it all. Golf. We know they have some shooting going on. What's going on over there, Guy? I hear it in the background.
Well, it's interesting because as long as I've been playing and coming to the Charities, I mean, that's just kind of the status quo. I don't think I've ever played at Charities or been here when that's not actually happening. It's just part of it. You got to sign a release on the entry form to deal with that.
Right after you leave Mo's truck, you
Right.
you sign your release.
Yep. You should sign it before you go to Mo's truck, though.
No, let's go. Break down there.
See, I mean, Burris serves it so big, it sounds just like the shooting going on. We're in the semis of the Chicago Charities. We're at the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois. I'm Patty Hogan with Guy Moore. Guy who splits his time between beautiful Port Judith Club in Rhode Island, Country Club, and Naples Lakes in Florida. Guy, we are so glad you're part of the streaming team once again, or the announcing team.
Yeah, we got a good team in place, don't we, Patty?
Oh yeah, a lot of fun.
Again, as big as Burris serves, that's just part of it. You're going to fault here and there. And she's not missing badly, but it's just part of going big, and you're not going to make them all.
I'm good, I'm good.
Such a good spot by Sikora.
2. You.
You know, we've seen both Morgan and Sikora elevate their game here in the second set. But the shot making that Sikora has come up with after her switch over into the ad court, I think is really the difference maker here.
For sure. It was a great adjustment.
2.
And that's good pressure on Sikora. All those balls are going to the screen, keeping her pushed back, eliminate her. She can't really come forward there. Eliminates that. Great serve. Morgan didn't quite get behind it. That's why she missed it wide. And Patty, we mentioned it earlier, but again, the success of Elliott and Burus at the net is when they don't give away volleys. Right now, the last 3 or 4 games, they've been volleying much better than early in the second set. And by much better, I mean they're not missing them anymore.
Yep.
Wow.
That was something.
Sure was. Not sure what it was.
It's a great shot here. You can see Allison Morgan in the pink short sleeve t-shirt. You know, when the play's over to Sikora, Morgan is just watching, totally focused, expecting, you know, anticipating if the ball were to come to her, what she would do, but assuming the ball goes back to Sikora, she's anticipating where she might have to cover if the ball, you know, flies out of a nick from that ad court corner. Totally playing every shot that Sikora is playing herself, in a way. Great lob from that deuce corner.
Let's go.
As we've seen a million times, Guy, the danger of floating that ball over that deuce court player's forehand is it does give the opportunity to hit that ball cross court where it's a tough cover for 2 righties.
Yeah, and that was right in that gray hallway, you know, right between them. And that, I say hallway because that extends from the net all the way to the baseline, that kind of gray area to the right to the left of the volley player in that formation when they're playing the deuce side.
So it's a long hallway, you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Because even if it's short to that area, it's still confusing.
Great rip from Sikora. Just found that right hip area on Burus. Forced the volley error. Guy, I want this to go 3.
Well,
Because it really is, really nice, high-level play. Really enjoyable match to watch.
so another thing that I see, and it's causing
Morgan, Sikora.
a little bit of what we just saw.
2, second set.
Elliott and Burus are not getting enough balls to the screen, so Sikora, especially Morgan, they're blocking the balls back, and it speeds up the point. And then all of a sudden, just like you saw that confusion on that lob, it just goes to the right area. Elliott and Burus need to create more time and make Sikora and Morgan more predictable in terms of them lobbing the ball instead of chipping and blocking everything back by getting the ball to the wires. Patty, what do you think about Elliott and Burus with their overheads? I mean, this is getting it to the wire. We haven't seen the roller as much right now in this whole second set.
Well, that's what I was thinking, that forget about blasting the ball hard into the corners, bring the roller into it again, and, even some slash kind of overheads. Keep that ball down low. I think that's what I would like to see out of them. Burrs has a pretty high contact point on a lot of her overheads. You don't really see like a cutter slice type of overhead out of her. I do see it out of Elliott. Possesses that shot and uses it frequently. I think that'd be a good ball to, that'd be a good overhead to bring into this here. So Charlotte Sikora is serving, up 5-2, second set. That's a great shot of Macy Elliott returning out of that deuce corner. Burus Elliott won the first set, 6-2. Guy, when Lynn came up right there, had that short ball, put it to the left side of Sikora, and she handled the volley beautifully time after time. I think that Burus coming in, she's got to pick apart. She's got to work the middle a little bit more when she's getting those shots. I think she's going right at them, challenging them to maybe make it or not. But I'd like to see her use a little bit more of the middle of the court.
Yeah, be a little more selective with her spots. Well, this is an important game, too, if we are going to go 3, and it looks like that for Elliott and Burus to fight as hard as they can here to recreate some momentum going into the third set.
And interesting, Guy, we kept talking about Lynn's big serve, Lynn Burus' big serve, that is. Yet she was broken twice in this set.
And that goes back to that great adjustment by Morgan and Sikora. There we go. They just need to make Sikora and Morgan feel a lot less comfortable back there.
I totally agree. I was just thinking Morgan and Sikora are so smooth right now. They are in an absolute comfort zone on the baseline.
It's a great lob by Morgan. Yes, he's working that spot.
I'm liking what Sikora's doing, really remaining active, bluffing a blitz, just to keep changing the look that Lynn Burus in particular was looking, when she was about to hit the overhead.
I tell you what, I like that point a lot from Burus and Elliott. I mean, many more balls to the screen. And kind of what we just talked about made Sikora and Morgan much more predictable. Elliott and Burus' positioning was much better at the net. Yeah, I was just going to say I want to see if Burus is going to lob down that line a little bit more to We'll see if she does lob down that line, if she spins around and hits a next drive straight ahead.
Yeah, when I see Elliott and Burus, one of the things I see a little bit more from Macy, that's Macy Elliott, she can really spot her lobs. Burus tends to lob with really long types of strokes, and I don't think it's as effective, pinpointing spots to break down opponents or to put them really in an off-balance position. Burus is a great lobber, throws the ball up for a ton of height, but I feel like Elliott is one who's a little bit more mindful about picking spots against her opponent. And with Lynn, Burus playing in that ad court, that ball up the line isn't the easiest of shots for her to execute with that long two-handed swing.
Well, we all got to remember, too, I mean, there's no absolutes, of course, but in general, if you lob well, you can really dictate who hits the lob. And you, not always, but you can dictate where the next overhead goes, because that's great lobbing right there.
Yep, good close. Really good volley. Burus got herself on top of that net. And that ball stayed so low. Real tough shot. So we're at 5-3.
We are at 5-3.
Second set.
And that's the game that Elliott and Burus needed, no matter what happens in this set. They made some good adjustments, lobbed the ball much better, and which allowed them to play their style a little bit more, closing in, transitioning. And then Patty, too, interesting to recognize that the last game that Burus and Elliott played, obviously they played from the baseline and had some good success. Why not just play back here this game?
Well, that's why I was kind of surprised that Burus started the point, at the net where you could see it was clear cut. Elliott was just pushing her serve in and staying back. I think Burus just stays up there in case she can pick off a ball and let Elliott take the net. But I love that your point, Guy. They should why not just stay back? They're going to go back anyway, and they love being on the baseline.
Well, I think if they just both stay back, it allows them to start hitting lobs with purpose earlier in the point instead of scrambling. Because it's actually both of them scrambling, because, we see Burus coming back and then Macy Elliott saying, do I have to cover something?
Yep, good point.
See if they switch it back out here or stay. Give it Sikora and Morgan a different look. Nope. And I agree with that switch back. They've, last game and a half, have found some good rhythm. And clearly they're playing the ad side of the court, but I think we all need to understand playing the ad side of the court also includes playing that ball where you've seen 2 or 3 of the last overheads hit to Elliott's backhand. That's part of playing Lynn Burus. That's not part of playing Lynn Burus, though. So I like, Patty, I like what Lynn Burus is doing. She's kind of gone into the mode where she's not looking for as much offense, but doing more of what you just said. She's lobbing better, and then Elliott is waiting for the time where that ball moves over to her forehand, just like you saw.
It's interesting. Burus, I think, wanted Elliott to come up in that point, Guy, but it seemed like Elliott was reluctant to take the opportunity to get up
The
there.
reason is she hasn't the last 10 times the same thing happened.
Right.
Here we go. She didn't want it to be 11 times in a row.
Ha.
But I mean, when you have the rhythm that they have from the baseline, I like them staying back there. They're giving nothing up by doing it.
Right, and Morgan and Sikora's with the switch with Sikora over there, they have really found something golden over there, and Sikora's making them pay throughout this set.
See here, I want them both to stay back.
Just another team that doesn't listen to you, Guy.
And you know what I say then, Patty?
What do you say, Guy?
I say, what do you mean?
Then you say, how'd that work out for you?
Exactly. How'd that go? I just really, really like what's happening from the baseline with Burus and Elliott now.
Second set.
Yeah, and you could see, Elliott is struggling a little bit in the second set, and she just found something right there and worked the combination, had a really nice move into the net, rock solid volley. And I was thinking we were going 3. Now Morgan and Sikora, they're up 5-4, but this is going to be a hell of a game here, Guy. Both teams now you can see the level's going up again for both teams. And a lot is right on Allison Morgan to hold serve in this game, to take it to 3.
Yeah, Burus and Elliott went into that mode where they were just going to lob and let the offense present itself for the last 2.5 games, and that's exactly what's happened. We haven't seen Elliott blitz like that the entire match, but couldn't be a better time to make that happen.
Hey, I'd stay back if I were Morgan and Sikora right here.
You know what? That is a very interesting thought. I like it.
Only because, to your point, Burus and Elliott, they're striking gold here with most of the baseline points they play. And Morgan and Sikora are having an easier time building and winning points from the baseline. So in that moment, I would have thought about that.
Let's go.
But it's so easy when you're sitting here watching it, Guy, than out there actually playing.
It really is. Halbauer and Jackson yesterday made a quick strategy adjustment that kind of suits exactly what you're suggesting, and they did it immediately, which is really cool to see. They just recognized, hey, what's working, and not necessarily what's not working, but what's working, and they put themselves in a position to continue playing in that formation by staying back.
That's it. That's the Burus where she just pummels the ball. And I had mentioned earlier she'd found Sikora's backhand kind of going cross court. And I love when she pummels the middle of the court or that other player. Other player being Allison Morgan right there.
Let's go. Right here.
30, 15.
Look how far Elliott moves out of the way. Sikora and Morgan going to switch, Patty?
I hope so for their sake.
I was just going to say, although there's really no middle right now with Sikora's backhand, which that look hasn't happened in a full set. There it is.
But it just seems like they're defending the Sikora drive better when Sikora's in the deuce court than when she's in the ad court.
Yeah, because it's a straight ahead. There's no angles.
Yep.
And you can see how still Elliott and Burus are when that drive's happening. They're just sitting there waiting for it.
I like Sikora's move to go over, block up that corner, but, throw up another lob. Just keep it going. She wasn't in a good position, really defensive right there. And
well, and the mindset too is when you see someone hitting an overhead off their front foot halfway in the service box forward, just go into neutralize. You got to neutralize. You never want to drive that ball. Just lob it where there's no indecision.
it's a great point. And all of a sudden, that missed, then two quick errors here, and all of a sudden, we're at 5-all, second set. Burus and Elliott have tied it up. They won the first set 6-2. Semifinal action from Chicago Charities from the Glenview Club in Gulf, Illinois.
And going back,
Patty
Patty,
Hogan with the one and only silky smooth Guy Moore.
going back to kind of the conversation we were having 4 or 5 games ago, I think it was at maybe 4-2. We talked about Elliott and Burus, and sometimes they start a little slow in the second set after playing just a pristine first set, and then they do, like we said, counter adjust. And that's what you've seen. There's that roller. So she's hit that hard 3 times this match, and
Yeah, 3 games in a row here. Burus Elliott are on a roll. I would have bet at least $10 this was going 3. Now I'm not so sure, Guy.
Patty, we only bet dollars. You know that.
Oh, you're right.
But the
No Bitcoin?
the dollar is worth a lot more than $1 or $10 is worth. We just don't want to lose to each other.
That's right. Guy, I might owe you money from last year. I'm not sure.
I would say 100% you do. Let's see if that hard roller comes out again. And I do agree it needs to be hit at the right time, like Elliott did the previous point. Because she could just hold that as long as she did and snap it. Patty, too, in terms of Elliott and Burus, and in a big turnaround in this set is one of the keys for them is volleying well, and I have not seen them miss a volley in 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, it was, when the adjustment was made by Sikora to go to the ad court and she started firing away, it was almost like they weren't ready for it right then, but they've made every adjustment, and they're on a roll here, having won the last 4 games, up 6-5, having won the first set 6-2.
Yeah, so great adjustments by Elliott and Burus on the baseline, really focusing on lobbing better, and then let the obvious be the obvious. They're making very good decisions on when to blitz, when to be offensive. They're letting the match come to them, and then that game there I thought was an unbelievable adjustment in recognizing, hey, we haven't been hitting rollers almost this entire set, and they dictated the play without a doubt, with the roller during that game.
Guy, can we see another shot of you in that green top? Is it true that you have matching pants to that top?
Those were black shorts that day, but
Oh, okay.
no, I generally don't go all green. I will go all white, though, with a jumpsuit.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what Denise Murphy was alluding to.
You know what? I'm going to redo my picture. I'm going in the white jumpsuit.
I look forward to that.
Lauren Barrett told me I look like an angel in that suit, and I said that's the only time I've ever been related or called close to that in my life.
Yeah, that's a first.
Yeah, I'm changing it for sure. Seeing more balls go to the screen like we talked about. That is a great shot by Burus. They're going to stay or switch back, Patty? Morgan and Sikora.
I feel like they're staying.
Lights out, come on.
I didn't want them to stay.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they feel like, again, just staying and giving them a different look, but I do believe Sikora on the ad side makes Burus and Elliott look for a lot more in terms of offense because of the angle with that backhand. She could hit it anywhere. But having said that, Patty, Burus and Elliott have done a really good job of what we talked about earlier. Stop hitting the ball where she can drive that off the deck, Sikora. Now they're hitting many more balls to the screen where she's not getting the looks. And when she's not getting the looks, then there's going to be a bit of a press.
Whoopsie.
30.
But Burus, Elliott, they're staying the course with just focusing on winning this match through good lobs.
Yeah, just they're in lockdown mode. You can see it, Guy. Nothing flashy. A little bit slower. You knew as soon as this game started how critical it was for both teams. Yeah, great move by
Oh,
Elliott.
such a good move. Wow.
30.
She almost kind of overran it to the middle and, got caught with a very awkward ball on her paddle there on her forehand.
That's the lob combination that we were talking about earlier. Lobbing Morgan more down the line and then Lynn taking a step to her left. Lynn Burus taking a step to her left, looking to drive it. I mean, that was a pattern she created. Match point.
2 match points here.
Patty, will Burus sneak over there and pop one of those?
I don't know. I think this is like Macy time where I think they'll play it to get her like a blitz look more than Burr sneaking in.
Is this lockdown Macy time? Lockdown Macy Elliott time?
Yep.
Well, the pressure is certainly not on Burus and Elliott here during this point.
And that's where a guy, I like that Burus hit the ball. Again, she had no one on top of the net straight ahead of her. She didn't have to hit with that much pace. I think you got to recognize sometimes when you get that opening and you don't need to overjuice that next drive.
Yeah, it's almost like she decelerated a little there. Great hands by Morgan. Biggest point of the match, literally. Wow.
It's a little shocking ending there. 2 overhead errors in that critical moment there, unfortunately for Sikora and Morgan. Burus and Elliott, coming in here, 2-time defending women's national champs. They're the team to beat. You've got to play a spectacular match throughout. Any team in the game, to take them out potentially. Morgan Sikora gave it a great run there, cooled off at the end of that second set. And Guy, any other thoughts? We have the dream matchup. A lot of people wanted to see Hannah Sabori, Burus, Elliott in the women's finals. Number 1 and 2 seeded teams. They've gotten their wish.
Yeah, I would say this, that I think great adjustments on both sides by both teams. Sikora and Morgan, great adjustment in the beginning of that second set, switching sides. I think, unfortunately for Elliott and Burus, again, starting that second set slow, but they did what they've been doing lately and make great adjustments. But the thing I want to say to sum everything up with Elliott and Burus is they have the ability to play both ways. They can play fast, they can play slow. Obviously, you saw a combination of that in the last 2 or 3 games. They played very slow from the baseline, but the last net game that they played, they hit a bunch of rollers and sped it up. So quite a dynamic, and it's going to be a great finals. Great calling this match with you, Patty.
Guy, that was really fun. We will, stay tuned because throughout the course of today, we've got women's finals action, 12:30 out there in Chicago, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time, and men's exciting, incredible men's play coming up throughout the day and night. Stay tuned. That's a wrap from the women's semifinals. Thanks, Guy.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.